Sweeney Todd now. I can guarantee the closest shave you will ever know.
You're pocket mad.
My arm is complete again.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to the second installment of Sweeney Todd from Stage to Screen. On December 21st, the film version of Stephen Sondheim's landmark musical, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, which has been directed by Tim Burton, will open nationwide. It stars Johnny Depp as Sweeney Todd, the barber with a vengeance, and Helena Bonham Carter as Mrs. Lovett, Sweeney's amorous accomplice who makes the most diabolical meat pies. The original Broadway production, which was a multiple Tony Award winner, including Best Musical, starred Angela Lansbury and Len Cariou. Sharing their memories from that original production are producer Charles Woodward and musical director Paul Gemignani, who also served as musical supervisor and conductor of the film. Also, Tony Award winner Michael Cerveris, who was Sweeney Todd in director John Doyle's recent Tony Award-winning Broadway revival. And the film's producers, Richard D. Zanuck, Walter Parks, and screenwriter John Logan. Enjoy our second installment of Sweeney Todd from Stage to Screen.
I was in London to get the rights to do Noel Coward's plays called Suite in Three Keys, which we did in America under Suite in Two Keys, which starred Jessica Tandy, Ann Baxter, and Hugh Cronin. And this agent kept pestering me to come out to Stratford East outside of London to see the show called Sweeney Todd. Well, one night I had enough time and I went out and I saw the straight play with kids 6 years old, people 60 years old, eating hot dogs, having popcorn, and I thought, gee, that would be wonderful in New York. So I paid $250 for a year's option, brought it to my partner, who I wasn't sure was going to like it, and of course he loved it. After I had obtained the rights, we got a phone call from Stephen Sondheim saying that he too had seen it in London, and would we allow him to write the music. Of course, we fell all over each other accepting it. It took Steve a couple of years to write it. And actually, we were all set to go into rehearsal with Len Cariou and Angela Lansbury, and we had to wait for Steve Sondheim to finish the score. But that's very typical of composers. I was surprised by the tremendous success of Sweeney Todd, which incidentally is now going to be made into a movie, because the Schubert organization told me I was crazy to do the show, and it made me very nervous. But when we got such talent as Angela Lansbury, Stephen Sondheim, Hal Prince had directed, I felt pretty secure.
To shave the face, or even a part, without it a smart, required the heart, not just the flash. It take a panache, it take the passion for the art. To shave the face, to trim the beard, to make the bristle clean like a whistle. This is from early infancy the talent give to me by God. It take the skill, it take the brains, it take the will to take the pens. It take the pace, it take the
The winner is Todd.
Well, it started with the Angela Lansbury version all those years ago, and I've seen every other version, but really didn't think about it as a movie until Tim Burton described to me one day his incredible passion. He'd seen it years and years ago in London. He was a student, art student in London, and he saw it as a young man and saw 12 performances of it. And he told me that story when we were making Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or one of the pictures we've made together. And he said, I really have a passion for this. And there were other people involved at the time. And he was kind of unsettled by that. He said, I should have made my move on this material earlier, which he had. He had talked to Sondheim years before. Sondheim wasn't ready to give it up. Tim Burton really wasn't as accomplished a director at that time. So those discussions didn't go anywhere. But he had this passion to do this, and he told me about it.
When you think about Sweeney Todd as a film, you can think about all the various ways it would be made, and you could kind of imagine it, it would be a handsome and respectful version of the movie which, really faithfully captured what Steve tried to do or what he achieved so beautifully on stage. And then you think about the version that Tim Burton might do with Johnny Depp, and we early on felt, boy, if that could ever be how this comes to the screen, it could be something quite special. And we were just lucky that Tim shared, as so many people do, this very intense, intuitive connection to the material.
Sweeney Todd was just a different thing for me. I never tried something like this, which is a bit daunting, but also exciting.
Come in. Nothing to be afraid of, love.
Tim Burton had actually come to me about 20 years ago. He was a big fan of the piece. He'd seen it on stage in London. It was not a success in the first go-round. Yet he saw 12 performances.
It just really hit me because it was so strong, and it was like the humor and the graphicness of it.
And he came to me and said he wanted to do the movie. I said, great.
Well, Sweeney Todd was the first Broadway show I ever saw. It was on my first trip to New York with my family, and so I knew of Sondheim through my father, and had heard a lot of Sondheim musicals on recordings, and but this was going to be my first chance to ever see something on Broadway, and it was one of the last previews, I guess. It was in March, I think, maybe of that year, and it was. We got tickets. My dad got tickets for us, and we sat in the next to the last row of the then Uris Theater, now Gershwin, which, if you know it, of course, means that you're about a mile and a quarter from the stage. But I still so vividly, I can physically recall walking into the theater, and just the huge scale of the space, and then that set that was dramatic before anything even happened on it. Just looking at it was, made you uneasy and anxious and anticipatory. And then when the guy came out and started playing the organ, I was sort of halfway there already. And then when the whistle came and, scared the shit out of everybody in the audience, I was completely hooked. And then Len comes out, and Len Cariou comes out, and I was riveted to him for the entire performance, and so thrilled, because I'd never really thought that I was still at a place in my life where I had done a lot of theater growing up, because my father would be involved in theater at the university or in community theater, and so I did a lot of plays, and I would do musicals sometimes. All non-professional stuff and summer stock things, but I was in high school, and is that right? Yeah, I was in high school and doing theater and stuff there too, but still not convinced that this was what I was going to do for a living, and certainly didn't think that musicals would be the way that I would go, because I just didn't think I was a musical type performer. And then I saw this, and I saw Len Cariou, and he's a terrific singer, but I perceived him to be an actor who sang, and what I was so enthralled with was that aspect, that there was this fully formed character, multi-layered, funny, terrifying smart but blinded and, you know, so complex and so multifaceted actor working on stage and in a musical, and that was what made me think, well, maybe, you know, someday, somewhere down the line, I could be a part of that world. You know, maybe there is a place for odd kids like me in musical theater.
A tender tale of Sweeney Todd. A tender tale of Sweeney Todd. He served a dark and a vengeful God. He served a dark and a vengeful God. What happened then? Well, that's the play, and he wouldn't want us to give it away. Not Sweeney. Not Sweeney Todd. The demon robber of Fleet Street.
You're poking mad.
The years, no doubt, have changed me. It's a truly amazing cast. Helena Bonham Carter, Sacha Baron Cohen, and Alan Rickman. I'd watch this movie just to watch these guys.
This is definitely one of my favorite characters. Seeing Johnny play the monster in a way is fantastic.
Tim and I did our first movie together like 17 years ago. He knows me pretty much better than anyone.
All right, you, sir. How about a shave? Come and visit your good friend Sweeney.
You just look at Johnny's body of work and you realize that this is a man who holds himself to the highest possible standards.
His choices are always really clever, and he's always great fun to watch, and he's always having fun. Seems like the fates are favouring you at last, Mr. T.
Johnny Depp and Sondheim had a meeting during Sweeney Todd. I think Johnny Depp came to see Sweeney Todd on Broadway, the last one. And the one my son was in, that was a plug for you, Alexander. And they just had a meeting, and Sondheim, again, in his incredible generosity, said to Johnny Depp, you'll be great in this, go for it. Now, Johnny Depp told me that, Steve didn't tell me that, but that's so typical Sondheim. He respects the guy as an artist. He probably saw every film he ever made on purpose 2 days before, if he hadn't seen him already. And he knows instinctively. And I have to say to you that if somebody walked up to you 2 years ago and said, okay, here's the cast for Sweeney Todd: Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter, Alan Rickman, Timothy Stahl, I mean, you'd say, absolutely. Who's directing? Tim Burton. Couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, it's like somebody gave that, as opposed to all the other scenarios that were discussed and could have happened. He never heard him sing until he's in the film. That being said, the thing I'm the most proud of is everybody singing for themselves. No dubbing. Johnny Depp's a great singer, actually. He sounds, who do I want to say? He sounds like a rocker, but not like Mick Jagger. He's more like Sting or Prince or one of those guys. But he, as he does with everything else you've ever seen him in, he adapts himself to what he's doing. So, and why I was so convinced that they needed to sing for themselves unless I hit a wall and couldn't get them to, is because the same reason for in the theater. When you hear somebody speak, when you hear me speak, if you heard somebody else sing, you'd know it. I don't care whether you're a musician or not. It's funny. I mean, when you see My Fair Lady, I know, I've seen it enough times, and I should be over it by now, but every time she sings, I know it's not that whiskey girl, because I've heard her sing, actually, right? So that bothers me. It always bothers me in movies, and I think it takes something away. And if anything we've done technically, it's given us the ability to if somebody's just a little off, we can fix that, but whatever. Everybody in this movie sings for themselves, including Alan Rickman, who's never sung on the stage before.
You've got to leave this all behind you now.
No. These are desperate times. Desperate measures are called for.
All right! You, sir? No one's in the chair. Come on. Sweeney's waiting. I want you, bleeders. You, sir? Two, sir. Welcome to the grave. I will have vengeance. I will have salvation.
I can guarantee the closest shave you will ever know. Let the good Lord smile on you. doubt have changed me.
That's all very well, but what are we going to do about him?